So thank you so much, Jen, for accepting my invitation. I'm super excited to have you here today, and I cannot wait to learn from you.
Thank you. I'm excited. All the questions, bring them on. Let's do it.
Yes. But before we start, do you mind introducing yourself for our audience? And then I can.
Yeah, of course. So
all the questions.
My name is Jenn Herman, and it's 2N Jen. I was born in the 80s with like a bazillion other Jennifers. So I am Jenn. That was kind of how I, separated myself from the crowd, so to speak. But I teach primarily Instagram marketing. That's what I've become known for. I didn't wake up one day and decide to be an Instagram expert. I didn't go and get a ton of Instagram training from Meta or anything like that. It was one of those things where I had a little tiny blog that had some decent traffic years and years ago, like 9 years ago. And I was like, all right, well, there's this little app called Instagram and I better figure it out. And in doing so, I started blogging about it regularly and getting really scientific and breaking down why things worked and why they didn't work. And as a result, people started, searching for things on Instagram, and I started showing up as the top search result. And people started inviting me on podcasts and then to speak at events. So it kind of grew into, the brand that I have now. But I'm fortunate to have people around the world who will get beta access to things on Instagram, and they will reach out to me and be like, hey, Jen, have you seen this yet? If not, I'll grab some screenshots for you. And I have them like test things so that we can share with my audience and everyone out there what is going on before it becomes a global rollout and those sorts of things. So it's a privilege that I have to be well connected with various people around the world who want to help and share and spread that knowledge. And so, yeah, I'm pretty much known for Instagram, teaching Instagram. I've written multiple books on the topic, but I also work with clients of all sizes on just social media strategy in general. I'm a strategist at heart. I want to understand how things work, why they work, and how do we get to the point we want to get to. So I love working with clients, whether they're, solopreneurs or global organizations, and helping them figure that out.
Wow, that's awesome. Awesome. I'm super excited now. Let's get into it. So, just a little bit about myself. I'm a business coach. I live in LA, as you know. And I actually I have 16 years background in finance, and I've been always in the finance field, and I have MBA in marketing, but I always knew that finance is not what I want to do. And I knew that I want something else, but I just didn't know what. And that took me forever to find. And I took so many classes, trainings, I went to a lot of events, read a lot of books in so many different directions until I finally found my path, thanks to Simon Sinek, I guess. I got his coaching. And then that's when I realized, oh, I think this is my why. and then I started helping small business owners with their finances and a little bit of marketing so that they can improve their businesses, because I've been helping corporate, bigger companies to create a thriving business. But my passion is to help actually individuals, the smaller businesses, to grow financially as well, because I know all of them are like, they have beautiful hearts and beautiful purposes, but if you don't have the money, like, you cannot stay in business and deliver the value that you love to deliver. And that's how I got into this. And I started with YouTube first. And it was interesting that I saw it's so hard to grow on YouTube if you don't have another platform to send people to your YouTube, kind of. And that's when I started my Instagram. But and then Instagram became the main source of my income. So people find me on Instagram, they message me, and they become clients that way.
That's awesome.
Yes, but I don't think I'm doing a great job with my Instagram. So I know I've seen a lot of people grow much faster than me. I mean, I don't really spend time and effort on it, but I'm trying to get better. So that's why I wanted to learn from the expert and learn from the person who knows everything about Instagram, and see what you think would be maybe for beginners, or the first few steps of
Yeah.
growing your business on Instagram, what do you recommend? Like how? Like
Yeah. So one of the first things I always tell people, and I'm going to tell you, it's not how many followers you have, it's how loyal your followers are. And, you know, a lot of small businesses go out there and they're like, well, I want to have 5,000 followers. I want to have 1 million followers. They pick some arbitrary number that to them means success, not just on Instagram, social media across the board, but especially on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, how many clients do you currently have? They're like 3. And I'm like, okay, how many clients could you handle? And they're like, maybe 2 more. And I'm like, then why do you want 1 million followers?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do with 1 million followers if you can only handle 5 clients? I mean, yes, obviously, as you scale, you hire more team members and you grow your business, but we have to keep our reasonable expectations in terms of followers. If you are a single person, let's say you are a CPA and you can single-handedly manage 5 clients, if you have 100 followers on Instagram, you're good. If you have 1,000 followers on Instagram, good for you. But could you possibly ever take on all of those clients? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry so much about the number of client or followers. Worry more about the quality. And also things like geography can matter, right? So let's take the example of, you know, someone like you as a coach. You can take clients from around the world. You can help somebody who's in the UK, you can help somebody who's in New York, you can help somebody who's in LA.
Yes.
But somebody who, like a CPA, can't take somebody outside of their jurisdiction because there's different state laws, there's different, you know, country legalities and things. So you don't need this huge broad audience, and you don't want to attract people from other areas. You want to be hyper focused on growing your audience in your local area. Now, that being said, if your goal is to grow and expand and be an author and be a speaker and teach CPA genius to the world, then you want a global audience. But if you're just trying to manage your business from home and you're happy with your small range of clients, you don't need to stress about that big goal. So all of that digression aside, some of the things we want to like kind of focus on when we get started. First and foremost is setting up your profile properly. So you need a really good profile photo. And that photo should be your face if you are the face of your brand, or a really good, clear logo if you are a larger organization and there isn't a singular face of the brand. And when I say that, I don't want all the small little subtext that's in your logo. Like if your logo is a triangle and a whole bunch of little words, crop the words, just the triangle, because that profile photo gets shrunk down so super tiny on Instagram that those words are illegible anyways. Just have the logo or a photo of your face, maybe 2 people. If there's 2 faces of the brand, no more than 2. You start getting too many people in a photo, again, it stops being recognizable when it gets too small. So don't go and like take a photo of your 25 corporate members in front of the front office door and then try to make that your profile photo. It's never going to work.
Yeah.
So think about that. Then you want to look at your name and your username. So your username is how you are known on Instagram. When you post, when you interact, when you do anything, you are your @ username. So I'm at Jen's _trends. It's my business name. When I interact, when I comment, when I do anything, they know that Jen's Trends is commenting. So we probably want this to be your business name. If you're just starting on Instagram and you've picked something and you want to change it, totally fine. If you're 5 years into business and you've been using Instagram and you've shared that link a million places, don't change it, because it is a harder mess to deal with fixing all those backlinks than just accepting it for what it is. But ideally, we want that username to be something that is either your business name, your name, something about your business. So if you're a photographer, you could have, like I could be, photographer Jenn, something to that effect that has something about who you are and what you do, unless you're such a famous photographer, your name stands on its own. But you want to think about having something like that. Also use dots and underscores to space it out. You may go in there and be like, okay, well, I really want to be Jen's Trends. But when you look at that, you see Jenn, and then you say Strends, or you see JEN, and then NS Trends, and people can't read it. Like when it's all one big long word, especially the longer it gets, or you might read things that don't read the way it's supposed to read and it reads like a bad word or a word you don't want associated with your name.
Yes.
So use those dots and underscores. That's why I'm Jen's underscore trends. It separates the words, makes it super clear. Then your name should not be the same as your username. They should not be duplicative. So if I put Jen's Trends as my username, I'm not putting Jen's Trends in the name field. It should be something different. So mine is Jenn Herman, and then I put a little phone emoji, Instagram expert. Sometimes I change that depending on seasonal things. I might put author. I might put keynote speaker. I might change out that keyword towards the end, because that helps with search. Name and username are the primary criteria when you go onto Instagram and search for somebody. So if you are a CPA, you want to have CPA in your name or your username. If you are a dog walker, have dog walking in one of those criteria. We want to make sure people can find you. Then the bio. This is super, super important. People don't spend enough time here, and you have 150 characters, which is not a lot of space, to tell the world who you are, what you do, and what's in it for them. There's 3 criteria that need to go in there. And so we want to have it be super short and sweet, which is not always easy to do, but we wanted to basically tell people what your business does. Are you a nonprofit? Are you, involved with certain charitable organizations? Do you work with children? Do you work with adults? Do you work only with women? Like, what is it? Who are you attracting? Because the only time someone reads that bio is the first time they come to your profile. Mm-hmm. Once they're following you and they come back, they're probably never going to read that profile again. So we want to write it like that 30-second elevator pitch. When someone says, hey, who are you? What do you say? What is your answer? When someone says, what does your business do? What is that really quick pitch, that super highlight level of what you do? That's what we want in the bio. So if we can format all of that, but think about some keywords. So for example, again, I'm a speaker, an author, a consultant, a blogger. Like, I do all these different things. I'm a mom. So we don't want to keyword stuff the bio, but we do want to make sure that if maybe as a highlight level, I'm an Instagram expert, in my bio, I write, 3-time author, consultant to global organizations. I'm still putting other keywords in there that do help Instagram categorize your content for search, especially individual pieces of content. So that we don't want to get keyword stuff, but make sure you're highlighting all those things that you do. And honestly, my best tip for writing your bio is not to write it yourself. I usually recommend you go out to friends, to family, to customers, clients, and say, if you could write down 2 sentences about what I do, how would you describe what I do? If you could write 4, adjectives that describe me and my brand, what would those be? And ask, because we are horrible at writing about ourselves. Even if you're in PR and your job is to write about other people, you probably suck at writing about yourself because we don't see what others see. And so when someone comes in and goes, oh, Jenn, you're this, you're sassy, you're a single mom, you tell it like it is. And I'm like, well, yeah, I do. But I'm like, I'm an author, I'm a consultant. Yeah. Right. But I don't put the personality in it that other people see. So don't write the bio by yourself. Farm it out to some people for some feedback, and then start to write it and include those things. If 5 people said, you're a brainiac, then put brainiac in there, because that's what people describe you as. So this is a project. It might take a month or 2 to really bring the whole profile together. But once you do that, it sets you all up for success, for growth, for new followers, for customers. It's really the foundation to your profile.
That was really helpful. Thank you so much. I have some questions about the bio. So about the username. So is there any differences between dot and underline, or both?
No, it's just a matter of, some people prefer the dot because it's not as obvious. It's easier to say. It would be easier to say, Jen's dot trends. But it's also one of those things where, and I'm just nuanced, I'm weird, things translate weird in my head. when I hear like something dot something, I actually spell out dot in my mind. So if you were like, hey, like I'm at Jen's dot trends, I would be JENNSDOT trends. Like I know it's a dot, but in my head, I hear, I read, it's something in my brain. So that's why I did the underscore, just because my brain works a certain way, but there's actually no difference.
No difference. So when people go to the Explore page to search something, if they say Jen's trends, it doesn't matter if you're a dot or underline.
Correct, because Instagram will pull up any results that match. And so then you'll see, like, even if you put it as one word, I will still come up. I might not be like the first one, but I'll still come up and search because I have enough reference to Jen's trends in my name and other, I have like my hashtags that include that. So there would be things that I would still show up and search even without it. Instagram knows that.
And talking about hashtags, is it a good idea to use a hashtag in the bio?
So generally, no. So they're not really clickable. They're clickable on desktop. They're not clickable, excuse me, on mobile to the same functionality. They do work now more so than they did before. But the bigger issue is that if you put something like hashtag photographer in your bio, it's not helping for keyword search. You could just write photographer and Instagram reads it just the same. And what happens is if you tap on that and you go to the photographer hashtag, you're now in a hashtag with 18 gazillion other posts.
True. And
you just lost that person into a black hole of other people's content. Like you work so hard to get their attention and get them on your profile. And then you're like, hey, bye, have fun. And they're never going to come back. So it's better not to use hashtags unless they are your own branded hashtag or if you're running a campaign. So if you've got like a month-long campaign focused on something, absolutely include that hashtag because it's going to send people to more of your content. That's okay. But limit it to one hashtag in your profile. Don't, again, we're not keyword stuffing and dumping them like you would on Twitter back in the day. There's no need for them because Instagram is still reading it in terms of context and going, yeah, you said photographer 4 times. Like we know you're a photographer. They don't need to be told in a hashtag too.
Got it. And now I feel so bad because of my username. My ID. So because of my ID, my name, Rosha and my my username is Rosh _ Firewalker. And I chose this because it was when I couldn't imagine that I'm gonna use this as my business. And I walked on fire actually, barefoot. So
oh my gosh, that's so fun.
Fun, yes.
But here's the thing, like I kind of like it though.
You do?
Because it is something you do. Like if you literally walked on fire, like you're a fire walker. I mean, it's not like you're like, oh, look at me, I walk on fire and I've never actually done anything. So it's not wrong. But even like as a coach, as somebody who helps people, it's got like an air of uniqueness to it, right? Like you're like, you're not like I'm Rosha the coach. Like, right? Like you're like, no, like I'm a badass. Like, look, like I'm a firewalker. Like I'm gonna help you build your business because I am this cool, like, or this hot. You know what I mean? Like it actually, like, even though it's out of context, it's not irrelevant. And I think it adds that air of uniqueness that separates you, that when someone sees it, they're like, who is this person? Right? Like it's something different. So I say roll with it, embrace it.
Oh, okay.
I put it in your bio. I'd be like, yes, I'm a fire worker, and put like the little fire emoji. Like I would totally like put that on there.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, oh, like this is so bad.
That's the other thing too, right? Like to remember, like Instagram is supposed to be fun. Like we have, like I could talk strategy for the next 8 hours because trust me, I have done it. And I can tell you all the things to do and not to do and how to do this and why this works this way and how, like, but the reality is Instagram is meant to be fun. And when you embrace the fun factor and you have fun photos and you have good, story content, and when you have a good fun bio, people are like, okay, I want to connect with that. Like they still want you to be professional and they still want to know that you're smart. They're not going to just, follow you just because of your name, but it makes it part of who you are. That makes it unique. You're not just another person spewing data and information. And like, most people log on to Instagram when they're bored. right? So they're standing in line at the grocery store. They're waiting for the kids to fall asleep. They're, sitting in their commute on the train or, whatever it is. And they're mindlessly scrolling. It's not that they don't want to learn. It's not that they can't learn. And we absolutely want to use that content, but they also want to be entertained. Mm-hmm. So when you can find that mix where you give them something of value, but you're still making it that fun content, that's what people connect with. So yeah, embrace the firewalker, 100%. That's the fun factor.
Yes. Okay.
Right? You're okay.
And another thing that is kind of iffy in my bio, I guess, is because I believe so my why is to shine a light on what is unseen so that all of us can achieve our potential.
Oh, I like that.
I truly believe in this.
Yeah.
And this is what I found working with Simon Sinek, that's when I was oh yes, now I can say it. I used to feel it, but I couldn't say it. So because of that, instead of saying consultant, I said business coach and igniter. So, but I know that people won't search for igniter,
They won't.
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't put igniter in your name.
Oh, okay.
But in the bio is fine, because again, that's describing who you are. And when in context, and we've got that you're a firewalker and you're igniting. I'm there's a whole theme here, girl. I really hope you're taking advantage of this because I can see it. But yeah, no, absolutely, because you're right. People, I wouldn't put on LinkedIn that I'm an igniter.
I know.
What's that going to, everyone on LinkedIn is going to be that means nothing to me. But in that context, if you're saying I'm a consultant and I work with my clients as an igniter to help them shed light on what isn't seen, yeah, 100%, that works. I wouldn't worry about it from that perspective.
Okay. But that's great because it is in my name. So I'm going to move it down and then add consultant on top.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. This was amazing already. So you talked about fun pictures. So can you tell us a little bit about posts? So any theme, anything carousels, reels, normal posts, everything.
Do it all. Jenn's advice, just do it all. It's one of those things where, again, I can preach until the cows come home. The reality is you really have to test for yourself. And when I say test, it's a minimum of a 4 to 6 week test. So you don't say, oh, I posted a video on Instagram and it didn't work for me. Videos don't work. Mm-hmm. Well, if your audience has never seen you post a video before, you can't post one video and expect that to all of a sudden perform the same or better than your other content, because your audience isn't conditioned for it. Regardless of what Instagram does with it, your audience isn't conditioned. Mm-hmm. So you can't just do one post and be no, didn't work. You can't try stories for 1 week and go, no, they don't work for me. Same thing with reels. Mm-hmm. We want to commit to 4 to 6 weeks. And that doesn't mean testing everything at the same time, because then you have no baseline to test against. Sure. So if you're the traditional, I've done a square photo every time I post on Instagram, that's all I've ever done, then maybe you say, I'm going to test reels. For the next 4 weeks, I'm going to do 1 reel a week and see how that performs. That's a test. Then you decide, okay, I'm going to mix in reels. Now, a month later, you go, okay, let me try adding carousel posts. Let me try adding videos. But now, again, you're mixing that in with the content you've already established, including the reels, because you found a rhythm that works there for you. So it definitely takes some time. You can't just go all in on everything, because then there is no data point to reconcile against. But in general, and I say this in general because I'm the exception to every rule on Instagram, and I don't know why things work the way they do, but life. So in general, Instagram still loves a good photo. So photos are fine. Don't feel like you have to abandon photos. You can 100% still use photos. Mm-hmm. Carousels are great because they give you second exposure. So if you post a carousel, which is the ones where you can swipe through vertically and there's up to 10 photos and or videos, what happens is if someone does not engage on the first pass, the next time they log on to Instagram, they will see the second post in the sequence. It doesn't happen 5 times. It only happens a second time. But maybe your first photo didn't appeal to them. Maybe the first video, they just were busy and weren't paying attention and they didn't catch it. Mm-hmm. But now they get a second chance to see it. And maybe that second post, the photo or the video is better appealing to them, or maybe the video is something they want to watch, the photo they didn't care about, or vice versa. So it gives you a second chance for exposure to be able to drive up that engagement, to actually get in front of that audience and have them be like, oh, I actually want to pay attention to this. But don't overdo it. That's not an excuse to go and use carousels every time. It overwhelms your audience. It overwhelms your content strategy. So don't do it all the time, but do it strategically. Mm-hmm. Reels are essentially a must do. And when I say everyone has to do them, it's because when Meta tells us to do something, you do it. When Facebook said do Facebook groups, if you didn't do a Facebook group, you had no reach. You joined a Facebook group, all of a sudden, oh, look at this, I'm getting all this content. Yes. So you kind of got to go where they tell you to go. And Instagram is like, do Reels. And even though more and more people are jumping on the bandwagon, there's still not enough high quality content. Mm-hmm. And there's still not enough content for the consumers. Mm-hmm. So if you are producing good quality content, you have a greater chance of getting that content in front of more people and new people. It's a good growth strategy right now. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean you're going to get 10,000 followers overnight. Doesn't mean they're going to stay. Doesn't mean they're your ideal client, but it does help with growth and exposure to use Reels right now. That being said, be prepared. Like, even if you do a one take of a 15-second reel, by the time you add filters and you add text and you do things, they can be very time consuming. True. The average, if I'm not just filming a one take, the average reel for me takes 1 hour to film and make a 15 to 30 second reel. Wow. 1 hour of my life. I hate reels. I'm like, this is the biggest like time suck, but I see the value in them, so we do them. Yeah. So you definitely want to try out reels. But worth noting that reels are very top of funnel. Reels are exposure based. They get people on your content. They aren't high conversion driving content. Mm-hmm. So do not expect them to be the ones that are getting people sign up to your email list, onto your website, purchasing. That's not what reels are effectively doing at this stage. Mm-hmm. Instagram stories are great. They are a higher converting type of content. People love stories. It's still that vertical video or photo. It's very, intuitive in terms of how it works. People are used to it, unlike reels that are still a little kind of clunky. And reels stories tend to be a good conversion. Most people, most brands get higher conversions out of stories than any other type of content. So whether that's driving traffic to your website, read this blog post, sign up for my newsletter, purchase this thing I'm holding in my hand, whatever it is, most people tend to get higher conversions out of their reels. And that's because reels, we tend to be more casual, right? It tends to be like, hey, so I have this phone and it's super awesome and you should go buy it. And people are like, okay. Whereas on our feed post, we're like, here is this magnificent phone that I have spent years developing and it has all these features and this is it. And people are like, womp womp. And they like, we try too hard in the feed. Whereas in stories, we're like, buy the phone. And people, okay. So it's a unique way of looking at marketing from user behavior. But it's worth keeping in mind that if you aren't actively using your Instagram stories for conversions, start finding ways to incorporate that.
Okay. And then how often should we have any call to action on the stories?
So, it's one of those things where it kind of depends, again, in terms of your general strategy. If you're putting up stories every single day, so you've got fresh content every 24-hour cycle, you could have a call to action every day, right? Like if you're putting up 3 posts on Monday and 2 posts on Tuesday and 4 posts on Wednesday, because a story doesn't just going to be like a single 15-second. It could be, but it could be 4 or 5. Yeah. So if you've got enough content, you could have a call to action every day. That's probably a little on the excessive side, but you could in reality do it if you have enough content. For the most part, 2 to 3 times a week, if you're posting consistently, would be fair. Mm-hmm. Now, again, that's a generalized statement. Some people are like, no, that's still too much for me. I only want to do a call to action once a week. Yeah. But it's also mixing up that call to action too. Like my biggest thing when it comes to Instagram stories is create clickable stories. So put a question on there. Use the question sticker, the poll sticker, the quiz sticker, the add yours sticker, all the stickers, even the link sticker, because those are clickable, and clickable is active engagement. Yeah. Active engagement is a higher ranking algorithmically than passive engagement. Passive is if they just watched your entire story sequence. That's a win. Yay. Mm-hmm. But if they're actively participating in your stories by responding to that question, tapping on that link to go read that blog post or watch that YouTube video, that is active engagement. And Instagram ranks that even more than just passively consuming the content. And that's technically a call to action. If you're like, click this link to read today's blog post, click this link to sign up for my newsletter, click this link to watch my video, click this link to, get the download, click this link to sign up for the webinar, whatever it is, those are all call to action. So is asking a question sticker. You're like, hey, what are your summer plans? How are you going to keep your kids calm this summer? Like, that's a question. That's a call to action, and people reply. So a call to action doesn't just have to be go buy what I'm selling. It can be a range of things, which means, again, you can increase the frequency with stories in terms of those CTAs, but maybe you only have one a week where it's an actual go sign up for my newsletter, go purchase this product, sign up for my upcoming webinar. That's a big ask. Sure. So maybe you do one of those, but you have 3 or 4 little calls to action kind of mixed in throughout the week that is conditioning them to be like, yeah, I take action on this stuff.
So true. Thank you so much. And then regarding these links, I've noticed this on my account. I don't know if it's real and it happens to everyone or not, but whenever I share something that is outside of Instagram, especially, for example, my YouTube channel, as soon as I put the link, the views of the stories drop a lot. Like previous story, the views are high, and all of a sudden I post this link to my YouTube channel and it goes down.
So I don't have solid data to support this, but like any good social media platform, they want to keep you on their platform.
Exactly.
And they don't like when you send people elsewhere. And we have long known, in the world of Facebook, don't say, click here or sign up now. The more you make it a leave the platform call to action with an external link, the more Facebook reduces the reach of those posts. So Instagram, I can't say is doing the same thing, but I can't say they're not doing the same thing. And this is why, again, if you are conditioning your audience over time to participate in other calls to action, answering question stickers, things like that, it can help because they're so good and they like your content elsewhere that it's harder for Instagram to hide or not showcase those other posts. Now, that being said, also look and see what you're doing before that post, because if someone comes to your Instagram story and your click link is the 3rd one in the series, if they've watched 1 and 2, but they're not seeing 3, it's because they chose to leave at 2. So what did you do at 2 that made them think either, oh, she has a YouTube channel, and they don't realize the next one's going to have the link. So maybe they're already leaving because you said, hey, my YouTube video is up. And they're like, oh, I'm out of Instagram to go to YouTube. Oh. So it's not that it's not working. It's just that you've already told them to leave. And then the next one is like, oh, by the way, here's the link. But they never saw it because they'd already left and gone to YouTube knowing it was your content that they wanted. So it could be something related to that and how you're communicating it. But also look for things that you can do to enhance that call to action. So a lot of times I will use GIFs that have a sparkle or the point and click or a hand pointing, or I'll draw a circle around the sticker. I do things to draw attention to it, because it's enough that, again, if someone is watching that story and they are like, okay, whatever, but if they see flashing things, they're more likely to be like, oh, click. So there's things you can do to help increase the likelihood that they're going to click on it when they do see it as well.
I love it. I'm taking a lot.
I feel bad. I'm like, I can see you over here jotting down. You're like, oh, okay, I need to make note of that.
I love it. I love it. So good. So good. Okay, perfect. So now we know that bio is first, and then we need to try everything on our posts and see which one is better. But right now, the reels are number one. And then stories also high conversion for call to actions, basically. And any recommendations on the type of reels? Is it better? You said it's not high quality, which I agree, because most of them are like very short, like 8 seconds, something like point, or it's like, or dance moves, or not really something important in it. So do you have any recommendations on
Yeah.
Okay.
So a couple things to consider. I look at it like there's two reels. There's a reel to attract new audiences. There's a reel to keep your existing audience entertained. The short ones, those 7 to 8 second ones, are for exposure to new audiences, because those are the ones that are showing up in Explore. Those are the ones that are showing up in, people's suggested content. They don't know you. You do not get to give them a minute of their lives. Like they're not ready for that level of content. They are first exposure to you. They want something quick and fun. And the shorter it is, the longer they watch, the more retention you have, right? So if you put up a 7-second video and they watch 7 seconds, that's 100% retention. If you put up a 30-second video and they watch 8 seconds, that's like a 25% retention.
True.
So you kind of got to like think strategically. So the short ones are good for that high level exposure, the chance to say, hey, nice to meet you, this is me. But your existing audience doesn't want 8-second reels. They know who you are and they want more. They're the ones that you do the 30 to 60-second reels for. And we're currently testing 90-second reels right now, which is it's a matter of time. We'll have 90-second reels soon. I would guess in the next, 4 to 6 weeks, we'll probably see 90-second reels roll out to everybody. Okay. Which is great, because if you haven't noticed, brevity is not my strong suit. Okay, I don't do 30-second reels very well.
It's really hard.
I'm like, I need a solid 2 minutes, people. I filmed a video last night for a company that I'm a brand ambassador for. And they're like, can you send us a quick video? And I'm like, sure. And I legit thought that was a 1-minute video. No, it was 1 minute and 58 seconds. And I was like, man, now I got to re-record the whole thing. And I had to like cut out half of what I said. I was like, but you needed to but the 2 minutes was the context. You lose all the context in a 1-minute video.
I agree.
But your audience wants the 1-minute videos. They know who you are. They want your expertise. They want your knowledge. They want your value. So you want to do both types of reels. You want to create the short, quick, interesting ones because those attract audiences. You want the longer ones because that entertains and provides value to your existing audience. So you have to think about that. And then, in terms of them, no, you do not need to dance. You don't even need to be on camera. If you absolutely hate camera and you're like, Jenn Herman told me I had to do reels and I'm not doing them because I don't want to be on camera. Okay, don't go on camera. You can have it be the rear-facing camera and you do a walkthrough of something where you voice over. You could film a video that's an instructional video that is just text on a colored background. And then you upload that video to your reel. Like, you don't have to be on camera. If you're terrified of it, well, first of all, get used to it. But you can get there slowly. I'm not going to throw you in front of the camera the first time you pick up the camera. But, so look and see for inspiration in your industry. If, again, looking at somebody like a CPA, well, they're going to have a completely different type of content than somebody who is a dog walker, then who's a photographer, then who owns an ice cream shop. Like, there's different kinds of things. Not that you can't pull inspiration from the other, industries, but look and see what other people in your industry are doing. What do you think is something that resonates with you? If someone's doing quick little tutorial videos and they're doing all the pointing things and you like that, then do that. If you look at that and go, oh my God, no, then don't do it. The great thing about your brand and your business is you get to do what works for you. So practice with it, mix up adding in music, even if if you don't know, you can upload music in the background, even if you're talking. So I can talk, I can have my talking audio at full volume, I can upload music, and I can turn down the toggle on the music. So it's a very subtle background. Instagram loves when you add music because it tells them this is an original video. Meaning you didn't film this video elsewhere, upload it to YouTube Shorts, upload it to Facebook Stories or Facebook Reels, upload it to TikTok, upload it to, you know, all these other places. And oh yeah, I threw it up on Instagram too. If you add music, it tells them it's an original piece of content. If you add stickers and other actionable things within that post, it tells them it's original content. Original content tends to get more exposure because, again, they know it's unique to Instagram and it's probably not elsewhere. So those are things you can do to kind of help the overall performance, but definitely like watch your analytics. Like if you do a reel and this one reached 2,000 people, and you do a reel and this one reached 3,000 people, and you do a reel and this one reached 2,500 people, and then you do a reel and this one reached 10,000 people. Okay, what did we do? Did we use certain type of music? Did we post a certain day of the week? Was it a certain topic? Was it a trending topic versus an evergreen topic? Like, what did you do in that video that you got 4 times the reach of these other ones? Figure that out, and you start to go, okay, when I do trending topics, I tend to get 3 to 4 times the reach. Doesn't mean you're not going to do evergreen content, but now you know if there's a hot news item in your industry, jump on that, do the reel. That's going to get you the exposure. That's going to get you in front of new audiences faster because you've proven that that works for your audience. It might be the opposite. You might be like, every time I do evergreen content, it gets shared 8 bazillion places. Great. Keep doing evergreen content, but play with it and see. And again, that's why it takes time to test, right? Because if you just do one reel, you have no baseline. But if you've done 5 or 6, 10, 20, 30 reels, you start to learn what is working for your audience.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. So good. Great information. Thank you so much. I'm like,
I can do this all day.
I love it. I love it. Learning really a lot. Now, although like I thought I knew a lot about reels because I've been doing it for a long time. I tried, like I add music, all of these, but adding stickers and also like how to find out which one is trending, because that happens, right? Like you get, like I get normally like, let's say 5,000 views and all of a sudden on something I get like 50,000, right? Yeah. It's like, what happened here? And the bad thing about reels, the insight doesn't show how many followers you got from it. It's very limited.
The insights are horrible. And I'm like, this is one of those things where I'm like, come on, Meta, like figure this out. Like I realize they want reels to be the thing. And I'm like, then give us what we need to do what works. Exactly. Like if I don't know, like I said, how many followers I'm getting from, if I don't know like the distribution of that audience, if I don't know how, like, I mean, we don't really even get like retention, like did they watch 2 seconds or 10 seconds or 30, like if you tell me retention levels, I can start to look at it and go, okay, I got 30,000 views, but most people only watch 2 seconds. So somehow I got into a search criteria, but it didn't match my audience. Like those are things that as content creators we need, and yet they still don't give us that information. And that's my biggest kind of like irk when it comes to reels is I'm like, you keep telling us you want this, but you're not giving us the tools we need to make them and do them better. Exactly. So that's my rant.
I love it. I'm gonna post it on my Instagram and
right. Tag Instagram. Tag Adam Mazzari. He doesn't like me anyways. It's fine.
Like, please.
Seriously, please. It's a simple ask.
No, it should be very simple. So, okay. So we learned about bio, posts, reels, which are the most, and also stories that both have higher conversion. Do you have any recommendations on the hashtags?
I have so many recommendations on hashtags. And I won't share it all here because I could spend 10 minutes just talking on hashtags, but you can always go to my YouTube channel or my blog, just search Jenn's Trends anywhere. And I have like my super secret recipe that I tell everybody for hashtags is pretty much published everywhere that I publish content. But the idea is, yes, you want to use hashtags. No, you will not get punished. The more, the better. So whether it's on your feed post or your reels, more is better. We want to use up to the 30 allowable hashtags. The reason why is because they tell Instagram, they tell users, they tell everybody what that content is about. It helps you show up in keyword searches. It helps you show up in those specific hashtag searches. Now, eventually, hashtags will go away. 100%. I've been predicting this for like 4 years, and I'm like, we're close. We're getting close, but we're not there yet. Mm-hmm. Now that we have a more robust keyword search on Instagram, it's scraping the data of your bio, your content, looking at the AI to determine what's in the actual image itself, reading your caption, reading your hashtags, and saying, okay, this post is about XYZ. We're going to put it in this related search. But right now, hashtags are still a key indicator for what searches it should be populating in. So they still help even just with keyword search. But some people are old school and they still don't even use keyword search. They're going to go look for, hashtag blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And it might be for a campaign. It might be a brand related thing. It might be a topic. They might go look for like hashtag San Diego restaurants. Like I still follow hashtag San Diego restaurants in my feed because I want to know the new places that are popping up. Or like you start to see some of the restaurants over and over and you're like, okay, this place looks really good. I'm putting this on the list for when we have girls' night next month. Like, so people are still following hashtags. We're looking at those. So you want to be in those searches because if you're not using that hashtag, you're not in that search. If you're a restaurant in San Diego and you're not using hashtag San Diego restaurant, I will never see you because I rely on the hashtag to show me content. And if it's not there, I'm not going looking for it. Mm. So you're losing audience opportunity if you're not using the right hashtags. True. When I say the right hashtags, what I mean is that are industry and brand relevant. So if you are a photographer, you want to use hashtags related to photography. If you have a geographical limitation that you only serve people in Southern California, you want to use hashtags related to your industry and Southern California, like San Diego photographer, Los Angeles photographer. You wouldn't use just hashtag photographer because A, it's way too popular, but B, it's global. It doesn't tell people in your area that is looking for you that you are available. So we want to make sure that you're thinking about those geographical limitations as well as industry things. You also want to think about what your audience is actually looking for. So I always use the example of car insurance, where if you're putting hashtag car insurance on your content, only people looking at that are other car insurance brokers, not your customer. No one is going to Instagram to look for car insurance. True. Now, if you're in beauty, food, fashion, yes, people are going to Instagram to find a makeup artist, to find a photographer, to find a restaurant. Absolutely. So some industries can get away with those kind of industry tags, but you get into the B2B space, no, they're not looking for car insurance on Instagram. Mm. But what they are looking for are things like hashtag new car, hashtag dream car, hashtag Jeep, or hashtag Maserati, whatever it is. But they're out there looking for content related to cars. And if they're looking at content related to cars and they're buying a new car, what do they need? They need car insurance. Yeah. So you can show up where they are when you use the right hashtags for what your audience is doing. So it's really important that you take some time to go through and audit your hashtags. And I highly recommend putting them in a list, like whether it's on your phone, on your computer, and like literally saving lists for different categories. If you have seasonal content, like as a photographer, you're in portrait season, for graduation photos, then you've got wedding season, then you've got back to school photos, or, whatever. If you've got seasonal content, have hashtags for those individual seasons, and you can just copy, paste, and make your life easy. So you're not trying to remember them all, especially if you only have that seasonal content once a year. And you're like, wait, what did I use on those posts last year? So go through and figure out what your audience is looking for. Look at your competitors, look and see what they're doing, what hashtags they're using. And then go look at that hashtag. Never use a hashtag blind, meaning don't be like, oh, that sounds good, I'm going to use that hashtag. And never look at the hashtag gallery. Always go and look how many hashtags or how many pieces of content are associated with that hashtag, because there's it could be 5,000, that's fine. It could be 5 million, that's fine. But you want to know where they rank in terms of popularity. You want to look and see what other type of content is in there, because some hashtags get jacked for things that you would never have thought of. And maybe now you're in a Pornhub and you're like, I did not want to be there, right? So there's things that you want to look at and make sure that that is a hashtag hub where A, you think your audience is hanging out, where B, your direct competitor doesn't own the space essentially. Because if you have a local competitor and they're the only ones posting in that hashtag, well, it's only their content. So not that you can't use it, but you're not going to stand out against their content. So maybe you can find another one that is better suited, where either it's not popularly used and you can kind of dominate it, or where there's more variety where yours would stand out and be competitive. So there's a lot of things you want to do, in picking those right ones, but spend some time, research it, and then, use them.
Yes. Okay. So where can people find, so I have 2 quick questions, but before we do that, I want to ask where we can find more information on hashtags on your basically platforms everywhere.
Yeah, so
if people can go.
If you go to jennstrends.com, JENNSTRENDS.com, you go there and just go into the search bar and just search hashtags, and all the blog posts will come up. But specifically, like I have a couple that are specifically my hashtag recipe. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is YouTube.com/JENNS_trends, just like it is on Instagram. And again, just type in hashtag in the search and you will find it. And I think it's called like the best hashtag Instagram hashtag strategy or something is the title for the Instagram or the YouTube video. But it goes through and it breaks down all the things we just talked about and more. Popularity of posts, why you want to mix up the variety of them, how to rank as a top post. It's all like in those are probably the 2 dominant places you can easily find it.
Perfect. And then do you mind talking about your books a little bit and tell us about it?
So I've written a lot of books. I have some self-published books available on Amazon. I've written The Ultimate Guide to Social Media Marketing with a couple of my co-authors who are amazing, wonderful human beings. And I wrote a very small portion of that book. But if you want social media in general help, that book goes through everything, including things like influencer marketing, live selling. It's high level, but it covers everything you need to know across social media in general. And then all of the dummies books that I've written are either Instagram for Dummies or Instagram for Business for Dummies. So we're technically working on the 4th one right now, which is a second edition to the previous one. But the pink one, which is the Instagram for Business 2.0, is currently the most up-to-date version. The Instagram, which is currently the purple one, is the one that we're redoing right now for version 2.0. But the pink one has the most up-to-date information as of right now in print as it relates to even things like Reels, stories, and all that sort of stuff. And then when we have the new one come out, that will obviously have a way more content on Reels. But the Instagram for Business ones are really good because it also talks a lot about how to run contests. Again, how to work with influencers and how to pick them and how to, hold them accountable to content creation. So if you are using it from a brand perspective, you definitely want to look at the Instagram for Business for Dummies because it does go into more of the strategic side of it, whereas the Instagram for Dummies is more about like just photos and content in general versus the business components.
Okay, so the pink one.
The pink one, yeah, pink.
Awesome. So, that's great. And is it available on Audible or somewhere? Like, are the audiobook is?
I'm not sure if they're available on Audible or not, but they're on all major book retailers. So like Amazon, Barnes and Noble. They're available in multiple languages in other countries.
Nice.
So most of them are available pretty much anywhere you could look for them, include like even Target, I think, has them, maybe not in store, but definitely online. And then you'd have to look and see if any of them have been translated into Audible for like the auditory books.
Mm-hmm. And if it is available, do you recommend the audiobook or because I'm thinking I'm gonna get it, so I'm like, should I do audiobook?
Sure, I'll send you a copy. Don't buy it, I'll send it to you. Well, I gotta see if I still have anything down the box, but yes, I'll send you a copy.
Thank you.
But yeah, I would recommend for most businesses getting the pink one. It's the most up-to-date version, and like I said, it has all the business components in it. So that one covers pretty much everything that is in even the purple one in terms of just the Instagram in general. But I will say when the new one comes out, if you really want to learn Reels, wait for the new one, which will probably come out end of this year. Okay. And that one's going to have a ton, probably a good third of the book will be dedicated to Reels because there's just so much about it right now.
Nice. Okay. And I'll definitely announce that on my page on Instagram, YouTube, everywhere, and I cannot wait to get that one as well.
And in the meantime, I do have a membership program. I have my free Facebook group. I'm always putting up content. And my membership group, we do live trainings every month. And January was devoted to Reels. So we did all the things on Reels. Then I did another session, I think in either February or March on Reels, because it was just everyone had all the questions about it. So you don't have to wait for the book to come out. There's always lots of free resources that I have on my content. And then, like I said, the Instagram membership, which is called Profit Your Profile, is also available. And that's the most up-to-date information you're ever going to get on Instagram. I put everything in there. I'm like, oh, okay, we have an Instagram update, and I'll just pop in live in the Facebook group for the membership, and I, share all the information about it. So that way you're always keeping up to date with everything that's actually happening when it happens.
Perfect. So what's the Facebook group name?
So the free Facebook group, if you just go look for Jenn's Trends in Social Media on Facebook, you'll find the Facebook group. And that's a good, safe place to ask all questions related to Facebook, social media in general. And I do post some things in there, most Instagram news and updates. But the membership is Profit Your Profile. And it's the same. You have to sign up for the membership, but then there's a Facebook group for them called Profit Your Profile.
Got it. Okay, perfect. That's awesome. So before we go, I have two hopefully quick questions. I really respect your time. I really appreciate your time. And if it's taking too long.
No, we're good. A few more minutes.
So I want to know, does it matter how many people we follow?
So algorithmically and all of that, no, it doesn't matter. Instagram does put a cap on it, but it's, most people aren't going to ever hit that cap reasonably. For me, it's more of a user experience in the sense that you cannot possibly follow 3,000 people on Instagram and see everything you want to see unless you log in every hour. If you live on Instagram and you follow 3,000 people, good for you. But most of us have lives and businesses. I used to follow like 800 people. And even that, I was like, nope, I would knock down to like 700. I think now I'm like somewhere about 600. Okay. And I log on to Instagram every day. And that's like a manageable number because some people post more frequently than others, and I follow like e-news. So I'm getting they post like 12 times a day. And like with the Met Gala, they posted like 100 things, right? So some content is more, frequent than, maybe a family member who posts once every 2 weeks or something. So, but it really doesn't matter. Again, from an algorithmic or any sort of access level perspective, it's more of how many people can you see the content of that doesn't bore you, that doesn't frustrate you, that doesn't overwhelm you, and where you're still seeing the content you want. You do not need to follow back people who follow you. That is absolutely not necessary, nor do I recommend it. Like if you're a business and a brand, you don't need to see what those people are doing in their personal lives. No, that's for them. You might want to follow some of them, your best clients, or some of them are maybe really good on Instagram and you want to follow them. You want to follow celebrities and family and other people in your industry, whatever. Make it about who you want to follow because no one really cares. No one's going to go and check your list of followings to see how many people, who's following you and who are you following. I mean, if they care that much, they have ulterior motives than to, just work with you for who you are. So make it a fun experience because if Instagram is fun, meaning when you log on, you see the content you want, you are more likely to stay on the app longer. The more active you are on Instagram, the more Instagram rewards you. So if you show up on Instagram every day and you're scrolling and you're liking and you're commenting and you're watching stories, Instagram is like, cool, we got you. And when you post content, they're more likely to show it to more people because you're already active on the platform.
Wow. That's very important.
that was a little nugget for those who stayed to the end of the show.
I know. I love it. So actually you answered my question about the, who to follow. So you already answered that. Thank you so much. Awesome. Oh my God. I learned a lot and I'm sure a lot of people can benefit from this. And I really, really thank you and appreciate your time and knowledge. Loved it. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thanks for having me on. Anybody can reach out to me. You know, like I said, reach out, say hi, let me know that you heard me here on this show. I love knowing where people come from. But yeah, thank you so much. This was good. This was good.
It was awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put the links to Jenn's social media, different platforms underneath this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, it's going to be there. If it's Instagram, you cannot click. So I just mentioned her.
That works.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.